Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking on my channel and welcome to Foundation Friday, my favorite day of the week. Today we're going to do a review and a demo of the e.l.f. Flawless Finish foundation. The last couple weeks that I've done Foundation Friday, I've done more high-end foundations, so I wanted to make sure that I did a really affordable drugstore foundation. Let's go ahead and look at the packaging and the claims of this foundation. So this is the packaging. It has a nice glass bottle and it has a pump, which is so huge. I love it when drugstore foundations have a pump. It's so much easier to know how much foundation you're using, and it's much less messy than if you just have to dump it out. The packaging is actually really nice for a drugstore foundation. I'm just gonna read off the box and tell you what it is and what it does. It's an oil-free SPF 15 sunscreen flawless finish foundation, and this says that it's a lightweight and oil-free formula, and it's designed to help even your skin tone for a long-lasting, beautiful semi-matte finish, cruelty-free and vegan. And it just says to apply with a foundation brush or sponge and to blend in completely for more of a silky and sheer effect, or you can blend in less for a more full coverage that evens out the skin tone. This foundation retails for $6 and you get 0.68 fluid ounces, which is less than the standard 1 fluid ounce for a liquid foundation. I got the color Porcelain, which was the lightest shade that I could find in the store. On Ulta.com, there are only 5 shades available, which is really bad. And the lightest shade is Porcelain. So if you would like to see this review and demo of the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation, then please keep on watching. I just wanted to do a few color swatches for you to kind of compare this color to some other foundations that I have. So this is the e.l.f. Flawless Finish in Porcelain. This is my Infallible Pro Matte in 101. This is my Urban Decay All Nighter Foundation in 1.5. This is my Maybelline Matte and Poreless in 110. And this is my Infallible Pro Glow in 201. I have already washed, moisturized, and primed my face. For primer, I just used my Professional Matte Rescue. It's just one I've been using a lot lately. I'm gonna shake this up, and I think I'm just gonna start with one pump. So it's pretty thick. It's not running down my hand, it's staying put. I'm going to do half of my face with a brush and half of my face with a sponge, just to compare how I like to apply it. For my brush, I'm using my Morphe M439, which is just a really dense synthetic blending brush. This foundation has a strong scent. Like, ooh, I don't like the smell of this at all. Where's the coverage? I'm gonna just put a little bit more on here. Well, this is very light coverage. I mean, it's there. So I'm gonna do this side with a sponge. I didn't use a full pump on this side. I still had some left over on the back of my hand, so I might go in with a second layer just to see if it's buildable. Whew, I do not like that smell. As far as the brush versus the sponge, it really is looking about the same to me. Since I prefer using a sponge, I'm just gonna kind of go in with a second layer with my sponge and just see if I can build up the coverage. The color is a little dark for me. If it oxidizes, I'm gonna be in trouble for sure. So I think the coverage is buildable. It's not like a huge difference, but it is covering some of the redness a little bit more and some of the freckles and blemishes on my face. I don't know if you can see on the back of my hand just how much it has oxidized. Like, it just has turned orange. I used 3 full pumps to get what I would consider a light to medium coverage. But so far it doesn't look cakey. It hasn't settled into any of my fine lines. I think I would call this a semi-matte finish. It is more on the matte side, but there is still a little bit of like dewiness to it, and it's drying down. It's not completely dried down yet, but I can feel in some areas that it is drying down to kind of more of a powdery finish. So far I think it looks pretty good. It is a little dark. You can see my chest and neck compared to my face. My face is darker right now, but I can probably salvage that with concealer. It is currently 10:22, so we can call the first check-in 10:20. I'm gonna jump off camera and do the rest of my makeup, and I will be right back. It is now 11:37, so we'll call the second check-in time 11:40. So I put the rest of my makeup on, and then I got distracted because I had to fix some camera settings, so it took a little bit longer for me to come back and do this check-in than I wanted it to. But anyway, this foundation has been on for about an hour, and I can still smell the scent of it. It just kind of has a cheap fragrance kind of a scent to it that I don't love. I did have a little bit of a trickier time blending my under eye concealer over top of it. It wasn't really difficult, but it wasn't as easy as like last week when I did the Josie Marin foundation. Everything just blended over that so seamlessly. So it was a little bit trickier to blend my concealer over top of this foundation. I think adding the concealer on top too gave me more coverage. I did kind of do some spot concealing on my blemishes. I didn't powder my whole face, just the areas that I concealed in my T-zone. But since it did dry down completely, I didn't feel like I needed to powder my whole face, and my contour, blush, and highlight blended on top of it very nicely. But so far it's looking pretty good. It is already starting to settle a little bit in my fine lines, so I'm not a huge fan of that. But for being a more matte foundation, it's not clinging on to any of my drier areas, like around my nose. I've got a dry patch going on over here, and nothing is clinging to those areas, so that's nice. So far my only complaint is that it's a lighter coverage than I like, but it still looks really pretty, and for having put 3 full pumps on my face, it's not looking cakey at all. I will check in with you guys in about 4 or 5 hours just to let you know how it's wearing. My next check-in will be in natural daylight, so you can kind of see what it looks like in that lighting. I'll see you guys in a few hours. It is now 4:27. So it has been 5 hours since I last checked in with you guys. All in all, this foundation kind of looks the same as it did this morning when I put it on. It has settled into my fine lines. It has settled into my expression lines, but it hasn't caked up or anything. And for having dried down to a powder, it isn't looking really dry. I have been outside today doing some gardening, so as far as it being SPF, like I don't feel like I've gotten any sunburn or anything like that. It's holding up really well. I haven't gotten oily, so that's a good plus for me. I thought it was gonna oxidize a lot more, but it really hasn't. I think it kind of did initially when I put it on, but it hasn't continued to oxidize throughout the day. But my contour and highlight and blush are all still hanging on. At the 5 hour mark, everything is still looking pretty good. I'll check in with you guys later tonight and let you know how it's held up. It is now 9:15, so I've had this foundation on for 11 hours, almost 12 hours. And for a $6 foundation, having been on for almost 12 hours, I'm pretty impressed. My forehead is looking shiny. It definitely settled into my fine lines between my brows. It actually looked worse here earlier, like those lines above my brow, but I think as my oils kind of mixed with it, it kind of just, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's as settled as much there as it was earlier. It is still settled into my fine lines around my mouth. I'm a little bit shiny right here, so my pores are looking a little bit emphasized right there. Hope you can see this, but it did rub off a little bit on my nose and my chin. There's nothing I don't like about it. It has been long wearing for me, and I do like that it has SPF and it hasn't gotten really greasy, but it doesn't really have like a wow factor. So I don't dislike it, but I don't love it either. It's just kind of like an okay foundation. I am impressed though that it has lasted this long, especially because I was outside and I was, you know, kind of gardening and doing that kind of stuff today. I was out and about today. So I am impressed that it has been so long wearing for being a $6 foundation. But as far as like the coverage and the finish, it's good to me. It's a good foundation. It's just not like a wow foundation. It has kept my, you know, bronzer and highlight on though really well. So I don't have any complaints there. And it really hasn't gotten cakey at all. Maybe a little bit on my upper lip. It looks like the tiniest bit cakey. It did feel lightweight throughout the day. Like it didn't feel like I was wearing a lot of makeup, even though I did put 3 pumps on. Like it doesn't feel like I'm wearing a lot, and it did dry down, so it didn't transfer or anything like that. But I would say that if you're looking for a lightweight foundation that has SPF and that has a semi-matte finish, then you would probably really like this one. You know, it doesn't have a lot of coverage, but it definitely has enough to even out your skin tone, which is one of its claims. And I do like that it has SPF in it. It did say on the box that it was supposed to be a long-lasting foundation, so I would definitely say that it does meet that claim. It is long-lasting. I would call this one a good foundation. It's probably not my favorite. There's not necessarily a wow factor to this foundation, other than it's just a good, long-lasting foundation. So I'm going to keep wearing this foundation and just trying it with different primers and different powders and just see if there's any combination of products that make me love this foundation. So make sure that you check out the description box below for any updates that I might have. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. I'm really loving Foundation Friday. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Please let me know if there are any foundations that you want me to try out. I would love to do that for you guys. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And as always, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.